Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakorash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations as always to the elect. Continuing in the spirit of the last lesson I did, dealing with Saudi Arabia, all right, ditching the petrodollar. I touched on, usury, all right, thick clay, all right, interest, and how ultimately that's one of the ways the elites of this world have a grip, all right, in full control as they do, all right, which is waning. Now I have here, all right, on the screen, a quote, all right, as you can see is from Mayor, all right, Amschel Rothschild, okay, which if you've been watching the videos, you should know, all right, what this last name means. All right, this group, this family ultimately changed their name, okay, to Rothschild, which it means red shield, all right, in the German. Okay, and this is one of the families, all right, as we get closer and closer to the end of this thing that you won't be able to mention, we won't be able to mention, all right, but while the spirit is allowing these things to come out, all right, we bring it out, all right. In German, this means the red shield. Now, why did the spirit have them, okay, to put this particular name on themselves? Well, let's get the book of Revelation, the 6th chapter. All right, we know in the scriptures, red is associated with Esau, Edom, okay. Let's see here. Revelation chapter 6 and 4. And there went out another horse that was red. All right. The Roman Empire in the scriptures is known as the Red Dragon, which that was ran by Esau, Edom. Okay. The beast system is known as a scarlet colored beast, you see, which is associated, all right, a derivative of red. Okay. And when Esau, Edom came out, okay, he was red all over, all right, because he lacked pigment, all right. And ultimately, that was the reincarnation of Cain, the biblical, all right, Cainites, which were the wicked, all right. Cain not only slew Abel, all right, but he had generations that issued forth from him, all right, who were responsible for the same criminal activity. And they were the first family to use weaponry, to create weapons when you go into Genesis, the 4th chapter. Well, Esau, Edom, all right, was blessed with the sword, all right, and today he has the greatest military. He has the most, nuclear missiles of anyone in the planet Earth, all right, and there was a blessing attached to him when you read the book of Genesis, the 27th chapter, that he would rule the whole entire planet Earth, all right, via the sword, all right, via treachery, rape, robbery, and murder, all right, and he would have control of all of the resources. You see, that was a blessing given unto him, which if you want to know why, all right, these people who call themselves so-called white or European, which those are all buzz terms, there's no such thing as a white person, they're fulfilling a blessing given unto them, all right. And the final rulership in the kingdom, before the kingdom of heaven will be set up, would be Babylon the Great, all right, which would be accompanied by a beast system, all right. That's fulfilled in America, Babylon the Great, all right, in the beast system, all right, NATO in the EU, which is breaking up here in these latter days. But power was given unto Esau, Edom, as you see here, Revelation 6 and 4. And there went out another horse, all right, that was red. Horses represent power, okay. And power was given unto him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, all right. Just like Pharaoh was known as the rider of a horse that was drowned in the sea, okay. Well, the modern day Pharaoh is Esau. Power was given unto him, all right, to understand how the Heavenly Father operates. He sets up these heathen, All right. That's a narrative you never learn in the Christian church. Okay. As you read Isaiah 45. All right. He's not a false balance. All right. And he's fair in that he's given these kingdoms. All right. These heathen their kingdoms. Isaiah 45:7. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, Yahweh, do all these things. Good is set against evil. Okay. So there went out another horse that was red, and power, all right, was given unto him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. All right. And he took peace from the earth with all of these wicked policies. All right. Usury, as we're getting ready to get into, is one of the aspects of peace being taken from the earth. Okay. Hoarding all of the resources to himself. Okay. As the scriptures say, the earth itself. All right. Let's see how it's written. The field. Let's see here. Ecclesiastes 5:9. Moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. The king himself is served by the field. The things that come out of the earth, all right, or really what makes you rich. But the profit of the earth is for everyone. All right. Even, okay, under the rulership of the Israelites, the heathen will benefit from a clean earth. All right. It's just that right now the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked, and he's taken peace from the earth. All right. So that people on the earth aren't benefiting from the things that are naturally here for them to have to sustain their lives. And he set up a wicked system of paper money, which when you go to the Federal Reserve, all right, they give you the history of money, and it starts off as things like salt. Who created salt? Things like gold. Who created gold? Silver. All right, the skin and fur of particular animals. Who created animals? Okay. Who created herbs, trees, fruit? Who created all of those things? You see, the Heavenly Father. All right. But we live in a system where we don't have free access to those things. And if you do, all right, you're lucky, you have your own farm, you have your own, this and that. But all of that is going to get outlawed as they go down into the full control that they want. All right. But ultimately, we were supposed to live off of the earth. This is a curse that we're living under. The curse of Adam was that ultimately you would have to work. You see, from the sweat of your brow, you would eat, when what we were supposed to eat was supposed to be freely given unto us. So peace has been taken from the earth. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Proverbs 29:2. So power was given unto this red horse, or the rider of this red horse. All right. And he took peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. All of his wars, rape, robbery, and murder. Everybody has weapons. Everybody's after each other's throat. No one trusts each other. The men hate the women. The women hate the men. The children are confused. Okay. Nothing but just friction. Okay. And then you give them the internet. It takes it up a notch. All right. And there was given unto him a great sword. And Esau, Edom, when you read Genesis, the 27th chapter, he was blessed with the sword. Okay. So this quote, give me control of a nation's money supply, and I care not who makes its laws. Meaning you can have all of the laws in place that you want. If I have control of your money, I win. If we have control over your money, we win. All right. And they're able to ultimately set up systems. All right. Where you read here, Proverbs 22:7, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Okay. Verse 16 in the same chapter, he that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want. And these Edomites are getting ready to come to want. All right. Verse 22, rob not the poor because he is poor, neither oppress the afflicted in the gate. And this is what Esau is doing. Okay. And our own people, all right, partook in practices like this. Okay. When you get into the understanding, when you go into the history, see where, yeah, Nehemiah 5:11, restore, I pray you, to them even this day, their lands, their vineyards, their olive yards, their houses, also the 100th part of money in the corn and wine, the oil, and ye that ye exact them. But who was he talking to? All right, Nehemiah 5:7. And I consulted with myself, and I rebuked the nobles and the rulers, all right, and said unto them, ye exact usury, every one of his brother, all right, and I set a great assembly against them. So these are practices that are against the scriptures. When you go into the law, okay, as we'll get into usury, you're not supposed to do that, all right, which is charging wicked interest rates. Now, to the heathen, all right, we can, exact usury, but, even with that, there's a balance, all right? And when we get into the kingdom of heaven, to show you real quick, let's get the book of Deuteronomy 28, one of the blessings that we will have, because when you understand the priesthood, okay, the priesthood were also the bankers of the nation of Israel, okay? Right now, we're living under a wicked priesthood, okay, and they, partake in wicked weights and balances. This is why the world is all messed up. All right, but if you check this out in verse, all right, 12, one of the blessings of the Israelites in the kingdom of heaven, Deuteronomy 28:12, and the Lord shall open unto his good treasure the heaven to give the rain unto thy land in his season, meaning you're going to have a lot of resources, and to bless all the work of thine hand, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. See, under this curse, we now have to borrow. You see? So when we get into the kingdom of heaven, all right, what Yahweh Shai has promised us, okay, real quick, and then we'll get into the lesson. But the Spirit does what it does. What's that? Luke, the 22nd chapter. We got a lot to look forward to, all right? But right now, the Lord is allowing us to see it from a wicked perspective, okay, so that we can yearn for righteousness to be established in the planet Earth, all right? Luke 22:30, all right, verse 29. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, we have a lot to look forward to in the kingdom, because it's going to be a transfer of rulership, and we're going to set up a righteous rulership. Luke 22, let's make it red, and 29, 28, ye are they which have continued with me in my temptations, all right? And we're hoping to continue in these times. And I appoint unto you a kingdom as my Father have appointed unto me, that ye may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom, and sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel, meaning setting things in order. All right, but when you look up this word table, okay, because Yahweh Shai is the high priest, right? And he's going to establish a kingdom of kings and priests, right? The word is trapeza, okay? The table in the temple at Jerusalem, all right? Just getting to the point, the table stand of a money changer where he sits exchanging different kinds of money for a fee and paying, all right, back with interest, loans, or deposits. Now, as I told you, of a heathen, all right, usury. Of the heathen, you are able to charge interest, right? Which is how the elites are looking at us, but they're doing it in a way that is absolutely diabolical, as we're going to show you how money works. Let's see here, usury. See if I can look it up on my phone. I forget how it's worded. Okay, here we go. Deuteronomy 23:20. Unto a stranger thou mayest lend usury, but unto thy brother thou shalt not lend usury, that Yahweh may bless thee and all that thou settest thine hand to do in the land, whether thou goest to possess. You see, so you can charge interest to a heathen, but with that it would be with balance. It wouldn't be the way that we're getting ready to show you how this devil is ruling. So the red shield people, okay, the this wicked priesthood that's been established. This is his mindset. Give me control of a nation's money supply, and I care not who makes its laws. All right. And again, this word, okay, someone can put it on the comment board. All right. The meaning of this word, it means red shield. All right. Now, the video that I wanted to get into. All right. This is, I thought it was new, but it came out in 2021 maybe. But, and this is, fair use. I don't own the, copyright or anything to this video. I'm just sharing it for purposes of entertainment, all right, and information. Zeitgeist, which there's a few of these, a lot of them, some of them they go off, but there's some good information in this one. Addendum, all right, full free documentary, Social Pathology by Peter Joseph. So let's get here. And we'll get some scriptures, have fun with it, and hopefully you brothers and sisters are edified. Give me 1 second here.
In a world where 1% of the population owns 40% of the planet's wealth, in a world where 34,000 children die every single day from poverty.
Yeah, 1%. All right, have control over all of the resources, man. Madness.
And preventable diseases. And where...
Let me reload this. Give me 1 second. I had it sitting since earlier. Give me 1 second here.
Faith there is. How money is created, the policies by which it is governed, and how it truly affects society are unregistered interests of the great majority of the population. In a world where 1% of the population owns 40% of the planet's wealth, in a world where 34,000 children die every single day from poverty and preventable diseases, and where 50% of the world's population lives on less than $2 a day, one thing is clear: something is very wrong. And whether we are aware of it or not, the lifeblood of all of our established institutions, and thus society itself, is money. Therefore, understanding this institution of monetary policy is critical to understanding why our lives are the way they are. Unfortunately, economics is often viewed with confusion and boredom. Endless streams of financial jargon, coupled with intimidating mathematics, quickly deters people from attempts at understanding it.
Yeah, and when you look at how they explain it, it's not interesting. You just, it boggles your mind. You just end up, being like, F it, I don't want to hear all of that. But, through the spirit, we've been able to tap into it. Now, there's certain brothers who can explain these things on a more technical level. I'm just giving you the basics through what has been given unto me through the Holy Spirit. But, yeah, the way that they do explain economics, it's mind-boggling. It's like, what the hell are they talking about? It's an uninteresting, but it's the use of time and resources. This devil he's diabolical. Let's just check this out.
However, the fact is, the complexity associated with the financial system is a mere mask, designed to conceal one of the most socially paralyzing structures humanity has ever endured.
Right. None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe that they're free.
A number of years ago, the Central Bank of the United States, the Federal Reserve, produced a document entitled Modern Money Mechanics. This publication detailed the institutionalized practice of money creation as utilized by the Federal Reserve and the web of global commercial banks it supports. On the opening page, the document states its objective. The purpose of this booklet is to describe the basic process of money creation in a fractional reserve banking system.
Fractional reserve banking, in a nutshell, as they're going to explain it. When you go to these banks, which these banks are all shutting down, this whole, paper money system, as we know it, is shutting down. But when you go to these banks, basically there's a certain amount of money that they're supposed to have, physically on location. Okay. Now, let's say they have $1 million, all right, in physical, cash or in money. They have $1 million, at this particular location. Well, in physical money, they have only 100,000. The rest of the 999,000. All right, it's all just something that's on a computer. It's not real money. All right, but what they're able to do, because they have a fraction of that $1 million physically on the location, but what they're able to do is lend out loans, okay, on that 999,000, and also charge interest. Okay, that's in a nutshell a version of what fractional reserve banking is, and this is how the banking system works. All right, and he's going to break it down. All right, and show you why all of us are in debt. Okay, and subjects to payments, which is a perpetual system that we would never get out of. All right, save the Lord sent his only begotten Son, who is our Jubilee. All right, who ultimately restores us back to our land. All right, frees us from debt. Okay, and gets us back in good graces with the Most High God, Yahweh.
It then proceeds to describe this fractional reserve process through various banking terminology, a translation of which goes something like this. The United States government decides it needs some money, so it calls up the Federal Reserve and requests, say, $10 billion. The Fed replies, saying, sure, we'll buy $10 billion in government bonds from you. So the government takes some pieces of paper, paints some official-looking designs on them, and calls them treasury bonds. Then it puts a value on these bonds to the sum of $10 billion and sends them over to the Fed. In turn, the people at the Fed draw up a bunch of impressive pieces of paper themselves, only this time calling them Federal Reserve notes, also designating a value of $10 billion to the set. The Fed then takes these notes and trades them for the bonds. Once this exchange is complete, the government then takes the $10 billion in Federal Reserve notes and deposits it into a bank account. And upon this deposit, paper notes officially become legal tender money, adding $10 billion to the U.S. money supply. And there it is. $10 billion in new money has been created. Of course, this example is a generalization, for, in reality, this transaction would occur electronically, with no paper used at all. In fact, only 3% of the U.S. money supply exists in physical currency. The other 97% essentially exists in computers alone.
See that?
Now, government bonds are, by design, instruments of debt. And when the Fed purchases these bonds, with money it essentially created out of thin air, the government is actually promising to pay back that money to the Fed.
Because it's not backed by anything. It used to be backed by gold, right? Well, they took gold from behind the dollar. Now it's a debt note. See? So you see all of these jakes, flashing all of this money. They're really flashing a whole bunch of debt. It's empty. It's of no value. This is why we need the kingdom. You see? Because the things in the earth are the true value. Gold, silver, salt, silicon, the things that they have hoarded unto themselves. Okay, as it says in the book of James. All right. Let's see here. James chapter 5:1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, your garments are moth eaten, your gold and silver is cankered. The rust of them shall be a witness against you. And look at how the world is ran. Meanwhile, they have all of this money. They have trillions and billions of dollars. Meanwhile, they have you in a rat race. That's a witness against them. You see? They have you in a rat race. All right, there's a large percentage of the people on the earth starving to death. As he said, there's a large percentage of the people, all right, living off $2 a day, all right, and complete servitude, working for these corporations, making these shoes, making these, picking cotton. They still doing that, working in, these chocolate factories. All of these corporations, all right, are involved in human trafficking, child all kind of labor. They got all kinds of wickedness going on. And the crazy part about it is our people, even you Israelites, you're more interested in calling us wicked, the true prophets of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All right. Meanwhile, you want to talk about how these people can be saved and God loves them too. All right. This is the book of Jeremiah 15:10. Woe is me. All right. My mother, all right, that thou hast borne me a man of strife and of contention to the whole earth. Like, woe is me. Damn. Here it is. The Lord has called me to preach, and all I get is hate and kickback for telling the truth. This is what Jeremiah went through. All right. I have neither lent on usury. All right. I'm not lending people money. All right. At these with fake money and charging them interest on it. We don't have that kind of power in this world. Right. Nor have men lent to me on usury. All right. Yet every one of them doth curse me. You see that? Everybody's cursing me. Let's read this in the NLT. You know what I'm saying? We ain't the ones doing all of these wicked practices, yet we get the most hate and kickback from our people. Meanwhile, this devil gets a pass. Hey, but this is how it should be. Then I said, and this is because we telling the truth. All right. Then I said, what sorrow is mine, my mother, oh, all right, that I had died at birth. Then I wouldn't have grown up to adulthood. All right. To where, now you have all of these responsibilities. Hell, this thing called the American dream that you thought was it. You get a job or you go to college. At least that's what I thought. You go to college. You try to make it to the league. That don't work out. Okay, your knee go out, your ankle, then you go get a job, your big ass in the office, sitting at a desk, tiptoeing around Eve. She walking, your supervisor's a woman, all right, with some cheap, bright red lipstick, all right, in a goddamn woman suit with some high heels, smelling like cheap perfume. Okay, on her cycle, walking around, looking behind your back, telling you to put your phone down. See, this is what Jeremiah was like. Why did I have to be born into this madness? Although it was different, back then, but we have the same sentiment. All right. And then you get a job. All right. You get a family. You try to live this American dream and you find out it's a nightmare. This system is not conducive to life. All right. I am hated everywhere I go. I am neither a lender, all right, who threatens to foreclose, nor a borrower who refuses to pay, yet they all curse me. All right. I don't owe no one anything. I'm not going around, charging wicked interest rates. The devil is. As a matter of fact, this is the book of Sirach. Okay. The the 13th chapter in the 3rd verse. The rich man have done wrong, yet he threateneth withal. Here it is. This dude has done all of this wickedness, yet he's threatening. If you use this wording, we'll take your video down. If you have this particular ideology or belief, you can go to jail. You got to tiptoe around this devil, man. After all of the wickedness he's done and as he continues to do. And meanwhile, you got Israelites like those weirdos from Boston talk about he can be saved. Okay, we going to hell, but he gonna be in the kingdom chilling. The poor is wrong, and he must entreat also. All right, let's see if we can get this in the GNT. 13 GNT. See how it's worded. You see what I'm saying? Jeez Louise, man. Jeez Louise, man. So the rich man has done all of this wickedness, and here it is. He's threatening, telling you what he's gonna do if you don't listen to him, or if you, all right, don't believe in him. See, the poor is wronged, raped, robbed, murdered, and told to just get over it. And we got to tiptoe around this devil, man. Give me 1 second here. Let this come up. Oh my goodness, man. Hey, but that's where we are. Okay, and we're talking about usury, which ultimately is charging, unjust interest rates. You see? Hopefully this comes up. I should have just left it how it was. Yeah, Satan's in this thing. Yeah, damn, we've been talking about usury. We ain't even define it for y'all. Well, we defined it in the last video, but some of y'all probably didn't watch the last video. So usury is the illegal action or practice of lending money, all right, at unreasonably high rates of interest. Okay, I give you $20, all right, and you got to give it back to me, but you got to give it back to me with interest. So by the time, well, $20, it's a horrible example, right? All right, $500, all right, but you can pay it back to me in installments, but by the time you end up paying it back to me, you didn't pay me back $800 because I'm charging you interest. And this is how they win. This is what they do. All right, this is let's see here. Let's see, what verse is it? Verse 3 in a GNT, if a rich person wrongs someone, he can afford to add insult to injury. But if a poor person is wronged, he is forced to apologize for himself. And this is the system we live in. This is the situation we are in, man. Okay? Complete wickedness, man. Let's go back.
In other words, the money was created out of debt. This mind-numbing paradox of how money or value can be created out of debt or a liability will become more clear as we further this exercise. So, the exchange has been made and now $10 billion sits in a commercial bank account. Here's where it gets really interesting. For as based on the fractional reserve practice, that $10 billion deposit instantly becomes part of the bank's reserves, just as all deposits do. And regarding reserve requirements, as stated in modern money mechanics, a bank must maintain legally required reserves equal to a prescribed percentage of its deposits. It then quantifies this by stating, under current regulations, the reserve requirement against most transaction accounts is 10%. This means that with the $10 billion deposit, 10% or $1 billion is held as the required reserve, while the other $9 billion is considered an excessive reserve and can be used as the basis for new loans.
Sheesh.
Now, it is logical to assume that this $9 billion is literally coming out of the existing $10 billion deposit. However, this is actually not the case. What really happens is that the $9 billion is simply created out of thin air on top of the existing $10 billion deposit. This is how the money supply is expanded. As stated in modern money mechanics, of course they, the banks, do not really pay out loans from the money they receive as deposits. If they did this, no additional money would be created. What they do when they make loans is to accept promissory notes, loan contracts, in exchange for credits, money, to the borrower's transaction accounts.
Wow.
In other words, the $9 billion can be created out of nothing simply because there is a demand for such a loan and that there is a $10 billion deposit to satisfy the reserve requirements. Now, let's assume that somebody walks into this bank and borrows the newly available $9 billion. They will then most likely take that money and deposit it into their own bank account. The process then repeats, for that deposit becomes part of the bank's reserves. 10% is isolated, and in turn 90% of the $9 billion, or $8.1 billion, is now available as newly created money for more loans. And of course, that 8.1 can be loaned out and redeposited, creating an additional 7.2 billion, to 6.5 billion, to 5.9 billion, etc. This deposit money creation loan cycle can technically go on to infinity. The average mathematical result is that about $90 billion can be created on top of the original $10 billion. In other words, for every deposit that ever occurs in the banking system, about 9 times that amount can be created out of thin air.
Money getter.
That's an unjust practice. All right, this is Micah chapter 6 and 10. What shall I say about the homes of the wicked filled with treasuries gained by cheating? What about the disgusting practice of measuring out grain with dishonest measures? Okay, this is a dishonest measure. Okay, how can I tolerate your merchants who use dishonest scales and weights? All right, the rich among you have become wealthy through extortion and violence. All right. And they send their economic hitmen, which they also talk about that in this video. They send their economic hitmen to these different countries and nations, and they through witchcraft and wickedness, if you don't accept their plan, they'll do away with your ruler, all right, your president, your leader, whoever it is, and ultimately set up, all right, someone with their interest, and then all of the resources of your land are now in their control, or they'll start a false flag war, okay, or they'll go and disrupt, all right, cultures, all right, by turning the men against the women against the men, have people fighting for alphabet rights in places where those things are outlawed, disrupting particular cultures and just doing wickedness, man. You see? And this is what our people, who, when they were in power, the leaders of our people, this is the stuff that they're doing. You got Jake today doing that, doing these type of wicked things on a smaller level. All right. But again, the devil, all right, as we read in Habakkuk, the second chapter, okay, Habakkuk 2:5, yea, also because he transgressed by wine, his philosophies that has everybody drunk. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. He's all over the world. Who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all of these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth in that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And we've showed you that word thick clay, it's an impenetrable, system to where how can you get to this guy? How are we going to win? All right. It has to be through, all right, divine intervention. It has to be through a higher power, because the control and, power this man has, it's on another level. This can only be done through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All of these jakes talking about we got to get our own banks. It sounds cute. Well, who's going to control the currency? Okay. And they have the power to wipe your ass out with the flip of a switch. Okay. You can't win, like on the Wiz, Mike, that scarecrow Michael Jackson. He did that song called "You Can't Win." You can't win. You have certain of our people, all right, who receive a little, some crumbs off of the table. Your LeBron James, your Floyd Mayweathers. All right, but look at what they have to do. And those who don't have to do anything, they just happen to have, a little wealth and money here. Ultimately, our nation is through. Okay? And again, there's nothing wrong with having riches, all right? But associated with those riches has to be wisdom, all right? And then here, all right, this money ain't real. We're not living in a system conducive to life. So it's all vanity at the end of the day. If you happen to be blessed with some, shekels, some money here, all right, do the right thing with it, man. All right. And don't become proud. Okay. It says, I bought yet. All right. I bought yet. All right. But the prayer is to get your daily bread. Okay. So all we need is our daily bread to get through this captivity, man. And it's almost over. So he ladeth himself with thick clay. I bought yet. Okay. Weight of heavy, of pledges, heavy debts. Okay. Thick clay, man. All right. And this man, that's how he wins. Let's see what this, the root word, I bought. To take a pledge, debt, interchange. Woo! To take a pledge, to give a pledge. To lend. So he ladens himself with thick clay. Okay? So what's this word, ladeth? He increaseth in that which is not his. Ladeth himself kabad, to be heavy, to be grievous, to be hard, to be rich. He's rich. Okay, and he has control by what? Debt. It's one of many ways he is in control. And he's made people dull. He's made himself heavy on the people. Okay? The nobles, see? The rulers, this is what they do. Very interesting. Okay. Shall not they rise up suddenly that shall bite thee and awake and that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? I mean, they're gonna go to war and you're gonna be through. Okay. It says, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of men's blood and for violence of the land and of the city and of all that dwell therein. And I mean, the violence and the wickedness that he's done, okay, is unmatched. It's crazy. When you understand what these people are doing and how they're ruling this earth, man, it drives you mad. You see, woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. So he's not affected, okay, like the average everyday people are affected in this world. Okay, they don't have the problems you have. The book of Job, the 20th chapter or the 21st chapter goes into that. See if we can pull that up. Is that Job 21? Job 21. The Most High he's going to deal with the wicked. Job 21:7. Wherefore do the wicked live, become old, all right, and are mighty in power? Their seed is established in their sight with them, and their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of the Most High upon them. Now it is. See, but they've just lived, they've done all of this wickedness. All right, they've been able to be pedos, they've been able to do all kinds of evil, and really there's no hell has come upon them. They're able to get away, and then they have a media to where they can, although they're doing all of this wickedness, they can make Jake or Israelites the face of what they really do. Diddy is an example. Although he's wicked, right? But who had a whole island to himself? All right, Epstein, who was able to just, just off himself at the right time. Joe Paterno was at Notre Dame or Penn State. I believe he was at Penn State. They got caught in a scandal where all kind of children, men were coming out saying that they were being molested by the coaches, and it was a pedo ring. He just dies at the right time. All right, then the dude Sandusky, yeah, supposedly he's in jail, but really they're taking care of him somewhere. He's just ducked off somewhere. They don't really, Harvey Weinstein, and the list goes on and on and on. How many children have come out in Hollywood and say, I've been touched? And Hollywood hasn't been shut down. How many children in the Catholic Church have come out and say, I've been touched? And it's really, there's no judgment. They'll show you a little, somebody going to jail and acting like something's being done, but nothing's being done because they are reserved to the day of judgment. They're bull gendereth, okay? And fell it not their cow, calveth, and cast it not her cow. They're not eating meat, all right? This sick, decrepit meat we're eating. They send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They take the timbrel and the harp, them little nasty, stupid parties with the mask on. The so-called white man's very, very overrated and played out. They spend their days in wealth, and in a moment they go down to the grave. Therefore they say unto the Most High, depart from us, we desire not the knowledge of thy ways. And that's how they've ruled this earth, without the knowledge of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right, but we were subject to that for a judgment. All right. What is the Almighty that we should serve him? And what profit should we have if we pray unto him? All right. Verse 17, how oft is the candle of the wicked put out, and how oft is there destruction upon them? The Most High distributed sorrows and anger. But I'm going to just jump to the point. Verse 29, have ye not asked them that go by the way, and do ye not know their tokens, that the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction? They shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. So the wicked is reserved, okay, kept back to the day of destruction. All right, what's that? 2 Thessalonians 2. He that will now will let until he's taken out of the way. So the Lord has allowed this man to rule, okay, and he's reserved to the day of destruction. Okay. Proverbs 11:4. Riches profit not in the day of wrath. All right. Righteousness delivered from death, which we're going into. So let's go back here.
Ask the obliging Bank of America for a jar of soothing instant money, MONEY, in the form of a convenient personal loan.
So, now that we understand how money is created by this fractional reserve banking system, a logical yet elusive question might come to mind. What is actually giving this newly created money value? The answer? The money that already exists. The new money essentially steals value from the existing money supply. For the total pool of money is being increased irrespective to demand for goods and services. And as supply and demand finds equilibrium, prices rise, diminishing the purchasing power of each individual dollar. This is generally referred to as inflation, and inflation is essentially a hidden tax on the public.
What is the advice that you generally get? And that is inflate the currency. They don't say debase the currency. They don't say devalue the currency. They don't say cheat the people who are saved. They say lower the interest rates. The real deception is when we distort the value of money. When we create money out of thin air, we have no savings, and yet there's so-called capital. So my question boils down to this. How in the world can we expect to solve the problems of inflation, that is, the increase in supply of money, with more inflation?
Of course, it can't. The fractional reserve system of monetary expansion is inherently inflationary. For the act of expanding the money supply, without there being a proportional expansion of goods and services in the economy, will always debase currency. In fact, a quick glance at the historical values of the US dollar versus the money supply reflects this point definitively, but the inverse relationship is obvious. $1 in 1913 required $21.60 in 2007 to match value. That is a 96% devaluation since the Federal Reserve came into existence. Now, if this reality of inherent and perpetual inflation seems absurd and economically self-defeating, hold that thought, for absurdity is an understatement in regard to how our financial system really operates. For in our financial system, money is debt, and debt is money. Here is a chart of the U.S. money supply from 1950 to 2006. Here's a chart of the U.S. national debt for the same period. How interesting it is that the trends are virtually the same. For the more money there is, the more debt there is. The more debt there is, the more money there is. To put it a different way, every single dollar in your wallet is owed to somebody by somebody. For remember, the only way the money can come into existence is from loans. Therefore, if everyone in the country were able to pay off all debts, including the government, there would not be $1 in circulation.
God damn.
In fact, the last time in American history the national debt was completely paid off was in 1835 after President Andrew Jackson shut down the central bank that preceded the Federal Reserve. In fact, Jackson's entire political platform centrally revolved around his commitment to shut down the central bank, stating at one point, "The bold efforts the present bank has made to control the government are but premonitions of the fate that awaits the American people, should they be deluded into a perpetuation of this institution or the establishment of another like it." Unfortunate.
And this is why they say that, this goes, what's happening goes against the founding fathers. You hear a lot of these Edomites go into that. There were a lot of, old, the presidents of old, a lot of the founding, they spoke against these particular practices because they understood what it meant, whereas you had certain presidents, the Bill of Rights, Esau was supposed to win. All right. But you have a group of elite Edomites. All right. And they're Amalekites, which when you know about Amalek, all right, they were their mother was I believe she was a harlot or I forget. But when you have when your mother's a harlot, basically you're not supposed to get inheritance on a level of a child. All right, by an actual wife or a concubine. It was, his mother was like a concubine. But Amalek wasn't supposed to have the inheritance that he has. So a lot of the Edomites, the regular other, tribes of Edomites, they look down upon and they hate his ass. That's created a divide. I have to look it up. We don't have to get all the way into it, but when you go into ancient practices, biblical practices, if your mother was like a harlot or a concubine, all right, what you got as far as inheritance wasn't as much, all right, as the child that had a mother, that was with, a wife, all right. But I'll have to get into that. But these Amalekites, all right, have paraded themselves. They're at the top, but you have particular founding presidents of America, which Andrew Jackson was a damn devil. He's known as the Indian killer. Okay, he ultimately also he's a he was a part of a democracy, which democracies usually lead to tyrannies. But all right, for certain Edomites, he wanted them to have something. All right, but the powers that be, they don't even give a damn about you regular everyday Edomites. All right, other so-called white people are even losing in this system. All right, but the target, all right, are you Israelites. All right, you get the brunt of it, but you even have Edomites in this wicked system that are losing. See, in the kingdom of heaven, although you're gonna have greatest and least amongst Israel, none of our people are gonna go without. All of them will be on the level, all right, and good. You see?
His message was short-lived, and the international bankers succeeded to install another central bank in 1913, the Federal Reserve. And its American people.
So when you go back, what Andrew Jackson was able to do, let's go back.
Time in American history the national debt was completely paid off was in 1835, after President Andrew Jackson shut down the central bank that preceded the Federal Reserve. In fact, Jackson's entire political platform essentially revolved around his commitment to shut down the central bank, stating at one point, "The bold efforts the present bank has made to control the government are but premonitions of the fate that awaits the American people, should they be deluded into a perpetuation of this institution or the establishment of another like it."
Because who runs, all right, this central bank? Who runs the Federal Reserve? Who elected them? Or do you get to elect them? Do you get to know their names? Why isn't this on the news? The fact that this debt, this system has everyone in debt and is a big part of the problem. You turn on the news every day, and this is never brought up as the true issue.
Unfortunately, his message was short-lived, and the international bankers succeeded to install another central bank in 1913, the Federal Reserve. And as long as this institution exists, perpetual debt is guaranteed. Now, so far, we have discussed the reality that money is created out of debt through loans. These loans are based on a bank's reserves, and reserves are derived from deposits. And through this fractional reserve system, any one deposit can create 9 times its original value, in turn debasing the existing money supply, raising prices in society. And since all this money is created out of debt and circulated randomly through commerce, people become detached from their original debt, and a disequilibrium exists, where people are forced to compete for labor in order to pool enough money out of the money supply to cover their costs of living.
The rat race. You see? The rat race, man. So everybody's competing for labor to get a little, some crumbs off of the table. It's not enough jobs. So what does this create? All right, a system of crime. Okay? Hell, homelessness. You see? A system where it's not, people aren't safe. Okay? Men who don't, have, resources or money. So what does this create? What does he eventually do? Rise up against people? Okay, he ain't got no woman. He ain't got no money, no resources. So what do men like that do? They eventually go out and destroy shit, rise up against the government. And this is ultimately where we are. Let's get the book of, let's see here. When he's about to fill his belly. These people are getting ready to go crazy. All right, where a man is not able to, be the head of his house. Family structure is all broken up. So you have a bunch of degenerates running around. Okay? And this is what they intended. This is the chaos that they intended. Job 20:19, because he have oppressed and forsaken the poor, because he have violently taken away a house that he builded not. America is a great example of that, but the whole world through colonization, he's raped, robbed, and murdered because he was blessed with that sword. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. That's why he has to keep lying. Okay, he has all these councils to figure it out. The Bilderberg Council, the World Economic Forum, the Council on Foreign Relations, the UN, all these councils. You see, if he had any sense, which the Lord didn't bless him with sense, he would have just stopped a long time ago with the control he had. Everybody could have had a little peace and been good, but no. All right. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he had desired. Okay. There shall none of his meat be left. Therefore, no man looketh for his goods. In the fullness of his sufficiency. All right. Sufficiency is when you're getting ready to complete what you set out to complete. All right. He shall be in straits, and every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. Now, this word wicked, which we always go into this. All right, it's Imal, laborer, sufferer, workman. Okay, these people, all right, especially the Edomites, are rising up. The toilers, the working class, are figuring things out, rising up, and they're taken to the streets. They're marching. They're the lowly. You know, and we're a part of that. As a matter of fact, you get the book of James 5 and 4, behold, the hire of your laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud. They pay you every 2 weeks. Some people get paid once a month. Why do they do that? So they can take more taxes out. See, and then at the end of the year, they give you a tax return, which is the money that you were supposed to get all year. Then if you do say, all right, well, I'm going to have less taxes withheld so I can get more of my check, then at the end of the year, you owe them. So and that's unscriptural. In the scriptures, you're supposed to pay a man the day he works. The day he works, he's supposed to get what he is owed. That's scriptural. See? But here, all right, it's kept back of you by fraud. So the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, cried, and the cries of them which have reaped, the Israelites, the ones who were raped, robbed, and murdered and put in slavery to build this whole system, all right, are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. You have lived in pleasures on the earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you. Well, now we're living in a time where Jake is resisting your ass. Okay, let's read this in the NLT. Okay, so the lowly are figuring things out, exposing your ass, cursing you out. Now you're trying to shut down the poor from having a voice when they've been wronged. For listen, hear the cries of the field workers who you have cheated of their pay. The wages you held back, all right, cry out against you. The cries of those who harvest your fields have reached into the Lord of heaven's armies. Sabaoth means the Lord of armies. So yeah, man. Let's go back.
As dysfunctional and backwards as all of this might seem, there is still one thing we have omitted from this equation. And it is this element of the structure which reveals the truly fraudulent nature of the system itself. The application of interest.
Interest.
When the government borrows money from the Fed, or when a person borrows money from a bank, it almost always has to be paid back with accrued interest. In other words, almost every single dollar that exists must be eventually returned to a bank with interest paid as well. But if all money is borrowed from the central bank and is expanded by commercial banks through loans, only what would be referred to as the principal is being created in the money supply. So then, where is the money to cover all of the interest that is charged? Nowhere. It doesn't exist. The ramifications of this are staggering, for the amount of money owed back to the banks will always exceed the amount of money that is available in circulation. This is why inflation is a constant in the economy, for new money is always needed to help cover the perpetual deficit built into the system, caused by the need to pay the interest. What this also means is that mathematically, defaults and bankruptcy are literally built into the system, and there will always be poor pockets of society that get the short end of the stick. An analogy would be a game of musical chairs, for once the music stops, somebody is left out to dry. And that's the point. It invariably transfers true wealth from the individual to the banks. For if you are unable to pay for your mortgage, they will take your property. This is particularly enraging when you realize that not only is such a default inevitable due to the fractional reserve practice, but also because of the fact that the money that the bank loaned to you didn't even legally exist in the first place.
Wow.
In 1969, there was a Minnesota court case involving a man named Jerome Daly, who was challenging the foreclosure of his home by the bank, which provided the loan to purchase it. His argument was that the mortgage contract required both parties, being he and the bank, each put up a legitimate form of property for the exchange. In legal language, this is called consideration. Mr. Daly explained that the money was, in fact, not the property of the bank, for it was created out of nothing as soon as...
It was created out of nothing. And this goes back to, let me look up this article. I remember I did a video on it. The impact of ancient Babylonian money magic. See if I can find that. Let's see. No, that's music. It's a video I did a while back, but I remember this title. The Impact of Babylonian Money Magic. Let's see. Yeah, this. I mean, this proves that we're in Babylon. You know what? I'll just link the video I did. Let me see if I can just look it up. Because that's 2 hours. We ain't finna go there. Let me look it up. Yeah, it's created out of thin air. It's witchcraft. This man is insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a very, this is a sick environment we're in. When we talk about the Edomites going into captivity, all, you know, that makes you feel all queasy on the inside. And wouldn't that make us just as bad as them? Well, we ain't gonna do it the way that they did it. Ours is gonna be based upon righteousness, but the elites of this world need to be put in chains, and we're gonna show you in the scriptures where that's the answer to all of this wickedness that we're talking about here. And this video can never even bring about the trueness of what the evil that they're doing. Let's see here. Magic. See if it comes up. Boom. There it goes. Boom. It's a video I did. Maybe I'll reload it at some point. But let it come up. But yeah, this money comes out of thin air. But there was an article I had. Oh boy. Yeah, here we go.
Shalom.
9 months ago. Yeah, the impact of ancient Babylonian magic, money magic. The ancient Babylonians believed money and wealth were the result of magical forces. They believed that certain spells and rituals could be performed in order to bring about abundance. And this knowledge was passed down through generations. And basically, the Edomites have tapped into that. This knowledge was later adapted by the Khazarian Mafia. Who's the Khazarian Mafia? The Khazars are the small hats. All right, the people who say that they are God's chosen people. All right, and again, that's who these people are. Okay, the red shield people. Okay, when you look this up, okay, the red shield family is a wealthy Ashkenazi Jewish noble banking family. And Ashkenazi meaning their forefathers go back to the landmass of Germany. okay, which the Ashkenaz, the original Ashkenaz are the people who own that land were Japhetic people, but we know the Edomites took over those lands. All right, Ashkenaz comes out of Japhet, one of Noah's sons that survived the flood. All right, the true Jews come out of Shem, so it's no such thing as a Japhetic, Shemitic person. They come from, all right, the line of Shem, but through Abraham, Isaac, and Esau. See, we come out of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, but again, these people are small hats. See that? And in this video, okay, this knowledge, okay, was passed down and adopted by, all right, the Khazarian Mafia, who branded themselves as the Knights Templar and the Red Shields. These powerful organizations used the knowledge of magic money to create an economic system that allowed them to amass vast amounts of wealth and power. By controlling the flow of money and controlling the supply of currency, they were able to manipulate markets and create a system of debt and servitude that has allowed them to maintain power and wealth. Woo! See that? Wow. Let's see here. Man, so this video goes into it as well. You can look it up. You see the name of it, But I guess I already went into this. Wow. The folly of riches. Ecclesiastes 5:10. He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity. Man. So I'm going to have to rewatch this video. Because it's going into it. The Khazarians and their successors have used money magic, all right, to enslave humanity both through direct means and through indirect methods. By controlling the flow of money, supply, and currency, they have been able to manipulate markets and create a system of debt and servitude that has kept them, all right, or kept people in a state of poverty and oppression. By controlling the flow of information and knowledge, they have also been able to suppress and control the minds of the masses. Okay? And these are the royal families that rule everything. Wow. So one said nothing new under the sun. The MOTB is not new either. Well, the concept of a mark or a brand or a tattoo to show servitude is nothing new, but it being inside of you digitally is something new. Okay. So yeah, you could check that video out. Let's finish this up and then we'll close this out.
As the loan agreement was signed. Remember what modern money mechanics stated about loans? What they do when they make loans is to accept promissory notes in exchange for credits. Reserves are unchanged by the loan transactions, but deposit credits constitute new additions to the total deposits of the banking system. In other words, the money doesn't come out of their existing assets. The bank is simply inventing it, putting up nothing of its own, except for a theoretical liability on paper. As the court case progressed, the bank's president, Mr. Morgan, took the stand, and in the judge's personal memorandum, he recalled that the plaintiff, bank's president, admitted that, in combination with the Federal Reserve Bank, did create the money and credit upon its books by bookkeeping entry. The money and credit first came into existence when they created it. Mr. Morgan admitted that no United States law or statute existed which gave him the right to do this. A lawful consideration must exist and be tendered to support the note. The jury found that there was no lawful consideration, and I agree. He also poetically added, only God can create something of value out of nothing. And upon this revelation, the court rejected the bank's claim for foreclosure, and Bailey kept his home. The implications of this court decision are immense. For every time you borrow money from a bank, whether it is a mortgage loan or a credit card charge, the money given to you is not only counterfeit, it is an illegitimate form of consideration, and hence voids the contract to repay, for the bank never had the money as property to begin with. Unfortunately, such legal realizations are suppressed and ignored, and the game of perpetual wealth transfer and perpetual debt continues. And this brings us to the ultimate question. Why? During the American Civil War, President Lincoln bypassed the high-interest loans offered by the European banks and decided to do what the Founding Fathers advocated, which was to create an independent and inherently debt-free currency. It was called the greenback.
What happened to
Shortly
him?
after this measure was taken, an internal document circulated between private British and American banking interests stated, "Slavery is but the owning of labor and carries with it the care of laborers, while the European plan is that capital shall control labor by controlling wages. This can be done by controlling the money. It will not do to allow the greenback, as we cannot control that." The fractional reserve policy perpetrated by the Federal Reserve, which has spread in practice to the great majority of banks in the world, is, in fact, a system of modern slavery.
And if they're able to make it digital, imagine the power that they can have with that if they're able to make the currency digital, which they are going to do, all right, and tie it to that MOTB system and digital grid.
Think about it. Money is created out of debt. And what do people do when they are in debt? They submit to employment to pay it off. But if money can only be created out of...
You heard that? What do people do when they're in debt? Okay, they submit, all right, to pay off the debt. All right, they submit to working forever and ever and ever and ever and ever until they go into the grave to pay off the debt that they're in. And this is the situation we're in here.
of loans. How can society ever be debt-free? It can't. And that's the point. And it is the fear of losing assets coupled with the struggle to keep up with the perpetual debt and inflation inherent in the system, compounded by the inescapable scarcity within the money supply itself, created by the interest that can never be repaid, that keeps the wage slave in line, running on the hamster wheel with millions of others, in effect powering an empire that truly benefits only the elite at the top of the pyramid. For, at the end of the day, who are you really working for? The banks. Money is created in a bank and invariably ends up in a bank. They are the true masters, along with the corporations and governments they support. Physical slavery requires people to be housed and fed. Economic slavery requires people to feed and house themselves. It is one of the most ingenious scams for social manipulation ever created, and at its core, it is an invisible war against the population. Debt is the weapon used to conquer and enslave societies, and interest is its prime ammunition. And as the majority walks around oblivious to this reality, the banks, in collusion with governments and corporations, continue to perfect and expand their tactics of economic warfare, spawning new bases, such as the World Bank and International Monetary Fund, while also inventing a new type of soldier, the birth of the economic hitman.
And we'll go into that one on another. Let's get this scripture here. I believe that's the book of Baruch 3:8. Behold, yet we are in this day, all right, in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our power. All right. So call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahshai for a remnant. Okay. Let's see here. And yep, Proverbs 28:8. He that by usury and unjust gain increaseth his substance, he shall gather together for him that will pity the poor. All right. And when we read Isaiah 24, all of this wickedness. All right. Isaiah 24:2, it shall be as with the people, as with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master. All right. As with the maid, so as with her mistress, as with the buyer, as with the seller, as with the lender, as with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. The land shall be utterly empty and spoiled, and the Lord, all right, have spoken this. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth fade away, all right, and do languish. The earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant. Okay, and because the laws aren't being kept, because the righteous way of Yahweh Bashim Yahshai isn't implemented, mirth has ceased. All right. Even drinking is it comes with heaviness now. Okay, but the answer to this all is Isaiah 24:21, and it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth that are upon the earth. And they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and they shall be shut up in the prison, and after many days they shall be visited. So these criminals who really run this world, okay, who have been able to hide themselves all these times, they're now being revealed through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and a great judgment is coming your way. All right, hopefully I will edify on to the next. Shalom.